Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, change makers. Good to see you in the room. It gives me great pleasure to do an acknowledgement of country. My name's Kyle Vander-Kuyp. I'm a proud Warramai Yuin man from New South Wales. I grew up in Melbourne on Wurundjeri land, and my family grew up on La Perouse country. So I'd like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation and pay respects to their elders past and present. I'd also like to acknowledge their continued connection to country, their protection of country and their promotion of culture that continues today. And that's the waterways, that's the land, and it's the skies. So I would like to acknowledge those people, and I hope everyone has a great day today. I'm looking forward to sharing my story with you, and please feel free to fire questions at us. Thanks, everyone.
Hello and welcome to the Australian Olympic Changemaker Forum. I'm going to grab a seat on the stool, get comfy. Thank you, Kyle, for the acknowledgement of country, and hello to our changemakers and teachers, students, classmates, family and friends. I'm actually going to pop this over here for when the panellists jump up. I'd like to acknowledge, off the back of James's acknowledgement, a lot of people have travelled really far to be here today. I think we've got Wollongong, Orange, Goulburn, Snowy Mountains, Tamworth and many more places. I'd also like to acknowledge the team partners of the Australian Olympic Committee who are here today with us and some watching online as well. My name is Chloe Dalton. I am an Olympic gold medalist in rugby sevens from the Rio 2016 Olympics. My action shots are never good. Never. I really wish I could think about it while I was, that one's all right. I don't mind that one, actually. Not too strained in the face. I'm so excited to be with you all here today to celebrate the incredible Olympic changemakers. Congratulations to each of you who have been selected as this year's 2023 Australian Olympic changemakers. You're joining us from all around the country, and how wonderful that no matter where you are right now, we are all part of this very special movement. From Katherine in NT to Thursday Island in far north Queensland, Launceston to Ceduna to Christmas Island and everywhere in between, you are now united as changemakers. This year we have nearly 1,000 students across Australia who have been recognised with this award, and nominations are still open. The Australian Olympic Changemaker identifies and brings together young Australians who are making positive change in their school or local community. It's so inspiring to see young Australians like yourselves going out and doing this and making huge change in your community and in your spaces. How are you viewing today? Are you with your class, at school or at home, or joining us live here today? Take a quick photo and send it to us. Make sure you use the hashtag #PowerTheChange2023 and tag @AusOlympicTeam. I know Sally Fitz will be getting all over the socials as well. As we head into Paris 2024 Olympic Games, we plan to take the forum on the road to visit other cities and regional locations so students from all over Australia can experience a unique Olympic event. We are thrilled to be coming to you today from Meta Studios in Barangaroo in Sydney. Thank you for having us, Meta. And we are lucky enough to be joined by some of our New South Wales-based changemakers in the audience, so a very big welcome to you all today. This is our chance to celebrate and congratulate you on all of the fantastic work you're doing to bring together people and to inspire each other to continue doing the incredible things you're doing in your own communities. To provide some of that inspiration, we've also pulled together some pretty incredible Olympians who you will get to hear from today. Sally Fitgibbons, surfing, Tokyo 2020. Kyle Vander-Kuyp. Oh yeah, hang on, pause, not yet, Sal. Are we coming up? Oh, come on up. Sal, come on up. Sorry, I shouldn't be running the show. Come on up, give her a clap, give her a clap. How good. Oh, please, sit. Kyle Vander-Kuyp, who we just heard from earlier, athletics, Sydney 2000 and Atlanta 1996. Bronte Campbell, swimming, Tokyo 2020, Rio 2016 and London 2012. And Sam Fricker, diving, Tokyo 2020. How's that for a lineup? It's pretty impressive, isn't it? You'll be hearing from these athletes and learning more about them coming up very soon on the panels. We've been blown away by what you have all been achieving in your schools and communities, and through your videos you've sent in, we've seen equality initiatives, fun runs, bike rides to raise money for charities. There's been coaching groups with language barriers and working with students with disabilities and so much more. Let's take a look at what some of our changemakers have been up to and how the Changemaker program has grown over the years.
Changemaker is all about empowering the change. They want to be heard and they want to continue to create change.
Hi, I'm Sarah Marriott.
Matthew Ginn.
Dirapia.
I'm Jack.
And I'm an Australian Olympic changemaker.
And I am an Olympic changemaker.
Leadership to me is about having the opportunity to make changes in people's lives, both physically and psychologically.
To have been able to teach, train and develop volleyball skills and at the same time extend friendship to 2 Yazidi refugee boys at our school.
What I really love is that this team is built up of lots of kids that would normally be sitting on the sidelines at carnivals, but now they're actually getting involved in the carnivals, and it's really good fun.
I've designed and implemented a sport and exercise program for students with disability.
I led a staff and student team to create the bathroom project. Inspirational and positive mindset quotes were included within all bathroom facilities, aiming to provide positive thoughts for those who use the bathrooms for solitude.
I started the dance troupe in 2018 to foster a safe space for inexperienced dancers at my school to develop their dancing skills in a welcoming and non-judgmental environment.
So my goal as an Olympic changemaker is to get kids off the Xbox and onto the track.
No matter our age, ability, gender, or ethnicity, we can all make a difference.
In my eyes, having a go is the equivalent to power to change, because we don't know our strengths until we give it a shot.
I helped my community to build a playground for children with disabilities.
This is a change I want to make by provoking a spark of confidence back into the young ones. I want to create change. Be the change, because there is nothing greater than teaching another person to have a go.
I power the change of individuals' mindsets, that improving your health and well-being is not just centred upon how you look. Rather, it's how you feel and being confident in who you are that makes sports such a beautiful asset to our lives.
Sports is a tool we can use to promote gender equality.
So all girls feel empowered and strong as we try to make the sporting community more gender equal.
Not only do I encourage you to have a go, but any age, gender, shape or size.
I'm a young leader that's making a difference. Let's power the change together.
I have the voice, I have the drive, and I'm determined to inspire sport and others and power the change.
Because empowering the change changes everything. So, what are we waiting for? Let's power the change together.
Remember, you gotta be the change to see the change.
Good was that? Some incredible initiatives. I really loved, I don't know if the person's here who was responsible, but the bathroom notes one. I had a couple of minutes earlier into the bathroom, into the safe space, couple of deep breaths. I like that, having a little note up there to encourage you and kind of bring you into that safe space. I love that. So many incredible initiatives. And on behalf of the Olympians in the room and the Australian Olympic Committee, we just wanted to say how incredibly proud of you we are. You're doing incredible work, and it's an amazing opportunity for you all to be recognised for the work that you're doing. We've listened and we've heard what's important to you all. Sustainability, Indigenous health and well-being, participation in sport, gender, equality and diversity. They're common themes in what matters to you. The Australian Olympic Committee is also passionate about creating change in these areas. It's time to meet some of our guest Olympians. First up, we have Bronte Campbell. Already a triple Olympian, Bronte has recently returned to the pool and is eyeing off her 4th Olympic Games in just under a year's time in Paris. Bronte, come on up, let's give her a round of applause. Next up, we've got Kyle Vander-Kuyp. Kyle is a dual Olympian, competing in athletics in Atlanta in 1996 and Sydney 2000. Kyle is one of Australia's 60 known Indigenous Olympians and is a member of the AOC's Indigenous Advisory Committee. Kyle is still the Australian record holder in the 110-metre hurdles. He's Deputy Chef de Mission for the Australian Olympic team for Paris in 2024 and will be reprising his role as the Australian Olympic team's Indigenous liaison officer, a role he first undertook in Tokyo 2020. Let's make them both feel welcome. Bronte, we might start with you. Already an incredible career that you have had so far. Can you tell us a little bit how this preparation for Paris 2024 has been different to the other Olympic cycles?
Hello everyone, thanks for having me, and lovely introduction, Chloe, killing it as always. Before I answer your question, those videos were incredible and I'm so stoked to be here and in a room with so many incredible young people. When I was your guys' age, I do not think I would have had the confidence to stand up and have initiative and do something myself. I was quite shy, and it took people telling me that I could do something, enabling me to become empowered, and that was really, for me, it was through sport. So once I was able to get my confidence through sport, it helped me find my voice. So I'm so kind of honoured to be in front of you all. You've already found your own individual voices, and what an incredible program. And as you're alluding to, it's been a while since I was that young. I mean, when you're talking about someone's 4th Olympics, it's like you've probably been around for a while. I made my first Olympics when I qualified when I was 17, so I'd just finished school, and it was just exciting, and like I couldn't believe that this had happened to me. This had been my dream since I was 7 years old, and it's still the happiest I ever remember feeling after a race was when I touched the wall and I'd come second in the 50 freestyle, and it was this big dream for me coming true. And even though I've been training for it for 10 years, like how much training was I doing when I was 7? So then every Olympics after that has been very different. As you get older, it's a different journey. And this year, in particular, I took 18 months off after the last Olympics, had a nice big break, put on my big girl pants and worked in the city for a year and sat at a computer and was like, oh, this is what people do every day. It's mainly PowerPoint slides. So just so you know, everyone in here, they're probably doing PowerPoint slides. I see you up the back.
All pointing at each other.
So I did that for a year and then decided I wanted one last crack. And I know that I'm getting a bit older now. It's very difficult to make an Olympic Games, but for me, it's all worth it just to have a big dream that's worth chasing. And whether or not I think it's 10 months now until Olympic trials, whether or not I make the team in 10 months, the kind of the victory is in the striving, having something really big and having a go at it. And this will be the last one for me. I'm not like my older sister eyeing off 5 Olympics. To have one last go at trying to achieve something big, that gets me really excited and gets me out of bed in the morning, very early in the morning. So it is different from when I first started, but I'm enjoying it almost more.
I love that, the victories in the striving. That's a really cool way to look at it. Kyle, can you explain a little bit more about your role as the Indigenous liaison officer in Tokyo and now Deputy Chef de Mission for Paris?
Yeah, it was a role that I got an email from the Olympic Committee, and they were looking for people to put their hand up for volunteer roles for the Olympian services. So it was an email that I answered quickly and got back to them and applied for the role, and had an interview with Daniel Kowalski and the Olympic team, and to my surprise, I got appointed on that role, and it was my first time back in the Olympic arena in 20 years. So I ran Sydney Olympics and had a family and did lots of things off the track, and did lots of volunteer work in remote communities and role model work, ambassador work, but I really miss sport, so that was why I responded to that email quickly. And walking into the Olympic arena in Tokyo, it was a COVID game, so it was kind of different for everyone, but we had the chance to support athletes and make that Olympic village the most welcoming and friendly, and I did uniform swaps for people, did the washing for the boomers, cleaned the coffee mugs from the baristas, and any job that came up I just jumped at. But this photo here, I had lots of good chats with Olympians. This is a couple of the Indigenous Olympians. There were 16 Indigenous Olympians in Tokyo, so that was special. I'd sat also on an Indigenous advisory committee leading into Tokyo, so I seen ideas put on the table, talk about artwork being included, design being included, and I didn't know how that would be received by all Olympians. I thought, I hope it's embraced. I hope it's not, tokenistic. But walking into Tokyo was blew me away to see artwork up in the village and beautifully done. The map of the language groups up in the foyer, and athletes were engaging with that every day. So I thought it might just sit there and be a bit quiet, but I'd be sitting in my office and my team would say, Kyle, there's someone at the map, they want to have a chat, and it could be Ash Barty or it could be Paddy Mills, or the volleyball boys came and had a chat. So lots of the team came and had a chat and were interested. They were intrigued, what's this map, what does it mean? And so they were really nice conversations and warmed my heart just to see how well it was received. And probably a good story was the skateboarders that came to our uniform area and said, can we wear the Indigenous shirt for our competition? We've never been at the Olympics before. We don't have a uniform. Can we wear the Indigenous shirt? And it was a yes from me, but I had to go up to the top people. And so these were young Australians that embraced the culture, embraced the artwork. So that blew me away. And so I won't keep going on because there's a lot of stories, but it was a role that I did proudly. It showed me that sport still lights me up. I got to go to track and field and watch a bit of the athletics. So I almost wanted to race again, but I'm a bit old these days. But and then I've been appointed for a role in Paris. So a phone call from Anna Mears to say, hi, how are you? And then she, after 40 minutes on the phone call, she said, I'd like you to be my deputy for Paris. So after I sort of was in shock, I said, yes. She said, you better think about it and tell your family. I said, no, it's a yes. So I'm looking forward to that role. Yeah, it's to join the leadership group, and there's going to be 4 other deputy chefs, and we're going to have our hands full. And we just want to make Olympians feel, a sense of belonging, connection, safe, so they can go and thrive and be the best they can be. And I think I know a little bit what they're going through, but I think that empathy helps when you're in that space, because sometimes it's stepping back too, because athletes need space, and just they need to know that you've got their back.
You sound like the perfect person for the job, Kyle. I'd like to have you in my corner, I think.
I'm pretty calm too, so I love stress, but I just stay calm in that space. Yeah.
Bronte, can you tell us a little bit about, you've recently become an ambassador for Puggles Swim. Can you tell us more about it and how you became inspired to be involved in that?
Yeah, so Puggles Swim, and I didn't know what a puggle was until the day I was actually there. Puggle is a baby platypus, which is pretty cute. And Puggles Swim is a program that teaches learn to swim teachers sign language and Auslan, so that they can include deaf and hard of hearing children in their normal swim classes. And it's pretty incredible. They're almost about to reach 1,000 skippers across the country. So a skipper is someone who's done the program and knows Auslan and can run the programs in their local swim schools. So it's pretty incredible. And for me, it's really important. I grew up with my brother, Hamish, who has cerebral palsy and has very special needs in certain areas. It's very difficult to get him into mainstream areas, but when you can, and you see the joy that brings to my brother, who might go to this lovely company called Sailability, and they've changed the sailboat so that he can fit in it and he can get in it, and how much joy it brings to him, but then how much joy it brings to the whole rest of the community as well. I think sometimes when you think about diversity and inclusion, we always think about how great it is for the person who's included. And I sort of think about it from the other side as how great it is when you can have diversity around you and how much it brings up your spirits. Like I spent a lot of time around people with disability and just like the absolute joy that brings to me. Like I'm the one winning out of creating an inclusive environment, and Puggles Swim really encapsulates that. It's making sure that it doesn't matter if you've got needs that are a little bit different from other children, we can still have you in a mainstream environment, and that enriches everybody's experience in the environment. So I started working with them at the start of this year, and like I said, they've almost got to 1,000 skippers, which is pretty cool. And if anybody has a local swim school that they know around, go tell them, get your instructors to sign up for Puggles, and they can go through the course and then start teaching all range of children.
Looking ahead to Brisbane 2032, Kyle, it's just under 9 years away, which is pretty crazy. What was it like for you competing at a home games, and do you have any advice for the students who might look to be involved in Brisbane either as an athlete or in another capacity?
Yeah, it's an amazing opportunity we've got with another home games, and competing in Sydney was unbelievable to walk out and hear that roar of the crowd. I ran on the same night as Kathy ran the 400, Kathy Freeman, and Tatiana got the silver in the pole vault. So the crowd was kind of noisy. I wanted them to be a bit quieter when I walked out, but I loved the roar, and the roar was something I'll never forget. Walking out and running in lane 8, and I made the semi. I wanted to make the final, but didn't quite get there. You're trying to take in the whole atmosphere, and I had family there, different to Atlanta Olympics when I made the final and come 7th in that Olympic final. I heard my mum screaming in the crowd when I walked out for round 1, and felt like saying, "Mum, you just got to settle down. Like I'm not going to get out of the blocks. I'll miss the start." But Sydney was just so many Aussies roaring, and so I think we've got that fantastic opportunity again with Brisbane. But for me, who's been out of the sport and thinking of not just opportunity for athletes, but all of our community, and so I'm thinking of volunteer roles that people could have. If you're into sports medicine, could you be the physio on the team? If you're into coaching, and now that I've worked with the Olympic Committee, off the track, there's so many roles. In Tokyo, there was someone dedicated to IT. There was baristas, as I mentioned. There was nutritionists there. So if you want to be involved in sport and get in that elite space, is a fantastic opportunity. And with Brisbane, start planning your studies, because you could be there and be amongst it. And there's such a great feeling to be involved in elite sport, and you don't have to be the athlete. You can be amongst it and be on just as big a high.
Absolutely. Bronte, there was an interesting video on your Instagram recently. Can you explain to us what is going on here?
I thought I was Sally Fitz.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm training to be a big wave surfer here. No, I'm doing just a little bit of breath hold work here. Those are 12.5 kilos each, so obviously they weigh you down to the bottom of the ocean. And when we race 50 meters, we're aiming not to be breathing during that time. So it's all about trying to stay relaxed. If you're not breathing and you just get like this CO2 build up, so that real burny feeling, if you can stay relaxed through that time, then it's great, and you'll still have length in your stroke and you'll get there. If you start shortening up, like you can probably see my steps shortening up here, and I'm letting out a bit of bubbles there because it's really hurting, then as you shorten up, that impacts your stroke. So that training was really just to do something a bit different and do a big long breath hold while staying like really, really calm, because you have to stay calm in your race. If you shorten up, then it's not worth it, because then as your stroke shortens up, obviously that's less power, and you may as well have just taken a breath. So that was just a little bit of different training for me. I love the ocean, love being in it and around it. So that's a nice environment to practice a big long breath hold. That was 60 steps. So I started at like 20, and then you build up slowly over time. Take a deep breath. you have to dive down. It's pretty shallow where I finished, but I started quite deep. So I started at about 5 meters and then you're walking up the beach. That was just at Bondi. Didn't run into any stingrays along the way, which normally I would. But it was pretty fun just doing something a little bit different outside my comfort zone. You asked what was different this time around. I get to try different things. I was like, if I'm going to do this again, I'm not just going to go up and down the pool again. I've done that a lot. So let me do something a little bit different. And there's always the little fear of what could I see while I'm down here, walking along the bottom. I went underneath this dude who was swimming who absolutely freaked out because I was obviously this big black shape walking out of the gloom. That was fun for me.
Kyle, how do you think you'd go underwater?
I'll probably make it about 5 meters. No, that's
that photo of you, Kyle. Your wrist on your right wrist. Why is that? What's that strapping? That's
not an injury, just a technical cue. So I'm trying to drive that lead arm into the hurdle. So having tape just helped me push that arm forward. But I was probably about 81 kilos there. I'm about 115 kilos now. So no chocolate. Lots of salads.
Kyle actually told me he wanted to start at the back of the room and hurdle.
That was your idea, wasn't it?
No, that was my idea.
I need very low hurdles.
But it's because you don't have your tape on that you couldn't do it. That's fine.
Yep.
Can we please put our hands together and thank Kyle and Bronte? Thanks so much. The National Changemaker Summit is fast approaching, with around 25 changemakers given the opportunity to travel with the AOC and some of our Olympians to the Australian Institute of Sport in Canberra for a 3-day Olympic experience. To be considered for this exciting opportunity, all nominated students need to send in a 1-minute video explaining how they are creating change in their school or local community. It's not too late to send in your video, and the deadline is the 25th of September. Let's take a look at what the students got up to at last year's summit.
It's wonderful to see us coming together as a collective, almost like a little family, and sharing ideas that hopefully can make a change for the better.
It's been really cool coming down, staying at the AIS, meeting some incredible people who've made huge differences in their communities.
Being around Olympians, I think it kind of rubs off on you because they have this sort of vibe around them, which is very driven, which is very stoic, which is very wise, and it's good to learn from them and understand from them.
We're here in Canberra for the Olympic Changemaker National Summit. We've got 24 students from all across the country coming here to share their ideas on how to make their communities better, leading to Brisbane 2032.
I've learned so much over this week, being able to take back so many different life lessons and tips and advice to continue in my life, but also bring to my community.
The nation's changemakers for 2022, they have come from all different parts of our country, and as individuals they are making a difference. Together they are definitely a force to be reckoned with.
We're very proud that we can highlight and recognise these young leaders who are using the power of sport to make a difference in their communities.
It's been amazing, not only meeting Olympians, but having the connection with kids that are like you and just feeling like you belong.
The kids were put in separate groups to talk about different topics and how they could make things better for their communities leading into Brisbane 2032.
So we're just devising some plans, some practical steps we can implement to make sure that no matter what postcode you live in or no matter what race you come from, what sexuality you identify as, that you can actually feel supported.
We're focusing on the benefits of sport both physically and mentally with regards to our health, and just kind of getting more youth in particular involved in sport in the lead up to the 2032 games. We're looking at doing a little bit of an app and getting more kids involved through that medium.
I got to sit down and hear their presentations with Matt Carroll, which was awesome to be a part of.
And the ideas they pulled together within 2 days are amazing. So amazing, as I told them today, we pinch them and use them for ourselves.
I'd like to say a massive thank you to the 2022 Olympic Changemakers. You really are the future of our country, and so we wish you all the best. Don't stop. Be the change and sustain the change.
If you're looking to be a change maker, it just starts now.
Be yourself, be authentic, and just let the inner you shine.
You are the voice, you are the future. Be the change every single day and never ever give up on your dreams.
Next up, we have two very special guests who are Changemaker alumni. Let's welcome Tri and Angus to the stage, who have both joined us from Brisbane. Tri and Angus were nominated as Changemakers in 2022 by their teachers and went on to create and submit their 1-minute videos for the chance to attend the National Summit in Canberra last year. You might have seen them on the video. We thought it would be a great opportunity for you all to hear from them, because who better to hear from than the Changemaker alumni themselves? Angus, we'll start with you. How did you feel when you received the news that you had been selected to attend the summit?
Yeah, I was actually driving to training and got a call from a random number, so I was like, oh, I better pull over and take this. But no, I was pretty shocked, to be 100% honest. I was not expecting it at all. And yeah, no, I was very excited. Instantly was like, oh yeah, I can't wait to get down there, and it turned out to be like the best experience of my life, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. So yeah, no, super stoked.
You're good that you actually answer a random number. I reckon there's not too many people who do that, so you've done well. Chai, can you explain what types of positive change you're making in your community?
Sure. So I was trying to promote inclusivity and change through sport, whether that was through the sport that I participate in or I coach as well. I was coaching at the time too, trying to promote different opportunities and equality through sport as well, working on encouraging students, encouraging my peers, building friendships, building resilience and different skills, working with different organisations and volunteering with them. And since the summit, I've also been able to join in on some Queensland government and Australian government initiatives too, so it's been a great opportunity.
Angus, do you have a favourite part of the summit?
Oh, Favourites going to be hard because it was all really, really good. I think I'm going to change it to the most empowering part. And for me, that was like, there were 23 of us and we were all so like on the same boat. We were all really connected, really driven individuals that all came together as a great team. So that I reckon was the most empowering part. And then the ceremony at the Mint was pretty cool, just from like a objective standpoint. I've still got the little medallion that we all get sitting on the bedside table. So yeah, it was really good.
And for you, Chai?
I think coming together as a collective and working as a team to brainstorm different ideas was definitely a very special opportunity. Working alongside Olympians as well, learning from them, chatting to them, and just really coming up with ideas to put into our sporting community and wider community too. And also the ceremony at the Mint was really a highlight as well, being able to reflect on what we had collaborated on the past few days at the summit, but also to be able to have that little medallion as well to take back with us as a reminder of the change that we're trying to implement into our communities as well. It was really powerful.
If I can just sneak in as well, the kit was like really good. The shirts, the hats, duffel bag, all of it was like top notch. So.
And what about working with Olympians? What was that like for you, Angus?
Yeah, no, it was, I mean, I've had the privilege to train with some and be coached by some at swimming, but working alongside them in like a non-sport specific environment where it's more just about like the people that you are, I found that really, really enjoyable and quite enlightening to see everyone outside of the track, outside of the pool, off the field. And every single one of the Olympians that were down there, I found were like great individuals. I was in Cedric Dubler's group, and I don't know if any of you guys remember from Tokyo seeing Cedric run alongside in the decathlon, but actually meeting him in person was really, really cool. He sat behind me on the plane. So yeah, no, he's like one of the nicest guys I've ever met, and that applies to every single one of the Olympians down there. It was really, really nice.
Tri, how did you make your video submissions stand out, and have you got any advice for the students in the room and the students watching online?
My first piece of advice would be to just be yourself. You've already been nominated for what you do and for standing out in your community, and that's an excellent achievement. So just portray your authentic self. I know with my video, I tried to showcase how I was trying to power the change in my sport and wider community, and just in my everyday life as well. So another two little pieces of advice as well. Make sure you have fun with it. There's no creative limits. Do whatever you please, but also make sure you submit it on time and don't leave it till last minute.
Good advice. Angus, for the students who might be umming and ahhing about doing it, why would you recommend that they do it, and what advice would you give them?
Well, my advice would be do it. It's definitely worth it. Advice, yeah, like Chai said, just be yourself. You know, every single one of you has been selected by your school to be here today for a reason. You're all great individuals. You're all doing a great job in the community. So just show that off. Don't be too humble in your video. Everyone wants to see the great work that you're doing, and there's no limits to what you guys can do. So 100% do it. It's the most rewarding experience you will ever have being down there, and it opens up a lot of doors. So that's my advice to you guys.
And Chai, for those people sitting on the fence about the video, what would you say to encourage them?
I know that these things can be really nerve-wracking sometimes, but it's okay. There's other people around you to support you too. And also, what have you got to lose by having a go? By just submitting the video, you've got nothing to lose by giving it a go. So it's a great opportunity, the summit down in Canberra, to meet new people, make new friends, and just learn a lot. So have a go, put in the video, and make sure that you really give it your all, because it's a great opportunity.
I love it. Thank you so much to the both of you. Let's put our hands together to thank Angus and Chai. If you want the chance to travel to Canberra for this year's summit for a one-of-a-kind Olympic experience like these two have experienced, make sure you get your videos in by the 25th of September. Being an Olympic change maker extends beyond the forum and national summit, with alumni being invited to a range of AOC initiatives, events and experiences. 6 of our 2022 Australian Olympic change makers attended the Brisbane 2032 Legacy Forum earlier this year to provide a youthful perspective on how to maximise the positive outcomes hosting an Olympic Games can bring to Australia. While 2021 Olympic changemaker Joel Tracy had the exciting opportunity to travel to Singapore with the AOC in June, where he collaborated with over 130 youth leaders from across Southeast Asia at the STEP Southeast Asia Youth Sport Leaders Camp. Fantastic opportunities to stay connected to the AOC and the Olympic movement. We're getting our next 2 Olympians up. This is exciting. So I'd like to welcome up Tokyo 2020 surfer Sally Fitgibbons and Tokyo 2020 diver Sam Fricker. Sally is a 3-time ISA World Champion and 12-time WSL Championship Tour event winner, and was one of the first 4 Australian Olympic surfers when the sport made its debut in the Olympic program at Tokyo 2020. Sally is also a member of the IOC's Olympic Program Commission, which determines which sports compete at the Olympic Games. Sam Fricker made his Olympic debut in Tokyo, competing in the men's 10-metre platform. Currently eyeing off his 2nd Games in Paris next year, Sam is training hard in the pool to make this dream a reality. This is an epic video. Outside of his sport, Sam is a huge advocate for sustainability and has even created his own sustainable straws company. Very cool. Sal, we're going to start with you. I know Kyle touched on that iconic night in the stadium. You were there watching Cathy Freeman win Olympic gold.
First off, it's a very hard act to follow today. Everyone's been so inspiring. Just being in this room, what I'm about to talk about in terms of Cathy really relates to energy. And transferring energy. And I'm used to saying, Glo, like to everyone in the room, you all remember where you were on that night, but a few guys weren't born yet. And so we have the incredible honour to sort of perpetuate that story through our actions and through our stories and through our words. It's pretty cool to know that Kyle was there too with his mum screaming. We were all screaming. And to put it in perspective, I was that country kid down there on the south coast, and the Olympics were coming to town, and we put in for the ballot to get our tickets, and we'd run down to our letterbox every single day, just like, what are we gonna get? And for like months, because it was mail, remember? It was like, it took a long time. And then when we got them and like took them out, we got a number of sports, and the last lot of tickets was this night, the athletics finals. And that little 10-year-old, I was just dressed in all my colours, like face painted, like hat backwards, little tomboy, and it got up, and the stadium was a little bigger than it was today. It actually had like another tier to it, and I was the very last row, and I was literally like hanging off the rafters and just looking down, and it felt like I was in space looking down at Cathy because she was in her space suit, And I was just like, I was just so excited. But at the time, like, you're 10, you don't really have words. You're not talking about it as if like, oh, this is going to mean this and this is going to... It's just you're sitting there and you're feeling something and it's just so deep-seated, and that emotion almost gets like trapped inside of you. It's like a time capsule. And I just remember on the night that, like the race finished and I was like, I've got to get my hat signed. I was just so adamant I was going to get my hat signed by Kathy, and 110 other thousand people weren't going to, bother her at that moment. And so obviously I went home in the train. I was a little disappointed, a few tears, mum and dad. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't get it signed. What am I going to do? So in my journey, we could be here all afternoon, but there was many twists and turns, and I went home and I wanted to be Kathy Freeman. And I was down there on the streets of Giroa, and every training session I did, the last 100 metres, I was coming home and I was Kathy. And I kind of followed that dream all the way to the Youth Olympics, and was able to stand up on the dais and, be the gold medalist in the 15,800 metres. And that was a huge stepping stone. I'm like, I'm on my way. But as you'll see, like, to be there that night, inspiration doesn't have to, the dream doesn't have to be fixed. And that's what I really want to pass on today, that everything you think now, it's like set in stone, that's what I'm going to do. Like kind of hold it lightly and hold a dream lightly and let it, for me now, I'm a surfer, let things flow and like follow where that energy leads you. And for me, I tried many sports, just like Chloe. She's done like 1,000 and she's superhuman at all of them. And you just, for me, I chased that surfing dream right at the end. I just felt like I could carry that dream of that night and that energy and go and be my best at surfing around the world. And so, that 18 years later when the Olympic Games arrived on surfing's doorstep, and, we were having our Olympic readiness camp, and then the first talker to come and like share the Olympic dream, drum roll, there was Kathy. It was so cool. Anyway, so I watched the talk, and I did have my hat, and I had my pen in the pocket, and then it came to question time, and I was like, oh, this is my moment. And right now I can feel the fluttery energy even talking about it. This is amongst all my peers. And then I saw it and I was like, this is my chance. And I went up and I was like, Kathy, and I just got so choked up. Like I talked about this energy stores within you and in your DNA, and I just looked at her and I just like, can you sign my hat? And I just bawled. Like I was like, I'm a grown woman and I'm just bawling at Kathy. I was trying to be really cool and just leaving an impression, and gosh, I was just a mess. And she just looked at me and she's like, whoa, like, I think you need a hug. And I was like, okay, I'll have a hug. And then I turned around and looked around the room, and to surround yourself with inspiring people, an environment like you're all talking about, that inclusivity, and looked around to my mates and maybe thought, oh, like there could be a seed of embarrassment, like, oh, that was a lot like stored up. And I was just authentically being myself, and I looked around and all my peers were crying too. So that just shows that like we're here to support each other and to kind of just go along with that ride. You don't know where it ends up. But that night, I think for those that weren't born, I think it's just about saying like that moment 23 years later, and Chloe and I were sitting in the stadium at the Matildas the other night, and it was 100,000 people there, and Sam Kerr scores that goal and puts Australia back in the mix. We've never screamed louder. We lost our voice for 2 weeks, and a lot of you now know like these moments only come around ever so often. But you now know that's what we were feeling in 2000, and now you have that energy kind of stored up inside of you. So I'll pass back to Chloe because I could keep talking. And Sam's here and he has lots of stories too.
No, I'm very interested.
I just wanted to kick it off with that. But that's just a small piece of what Kathy and what Kyle created on that night. And that's everyone involved to create opportunities for us to experience things like this.
Yeah, it's really cool. I haven't had my Kathy moment. My kind of moment that determined the course of my life, I feel like, was that night as well. So it's pretty cool to think that it was such a powerful night. I would be an absolute mess the day I met Kathy.
Take some tissues.
Yeah, good advice. Sam, you made your Olympic debut in Tokyo. Can you tell us a little bit about what that experience was like?
Yeah, well, I always wanted to go to the Olympic Games, as most of us do as athletes, and when I was very young, one of my first memories was just the whole family being out there and watching the Olympics. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I wonder if I can get there one day. And I tried a few different sports as well. I played soccer growing up, which I really enjoyed, and I was doing gymnastics and trampoline, but it came over the diving, and I kept like looking for that pathway to try and get there. And diving, I met one of the New South Wales Institute of Sport coaches, and I was so young and oblivious. I was like, I want to go to the Olympics. I can do it. And he took note of that, and he started coaching me and training me, and the process began. I moved to Sydney from Newcastle, and my whole life just completely changed. You go from doing sport 2 or 3 times a week to morning and night, in and out, and then you're at school during the day, and everything's super full on, and then you're under pressure, and you feel like if you don't perform, you're going to get kicked out tomorrow. It wasn't like that probably, but in my head it was. It was like really intense. But I loved it. I was like on the path to achieving my dreams. So I kept chipping away. Tokyo was a bit of a pipe dream. I thought if I could make that would be incredible. But realistically, I thought Paris would be the probably ideal goal. But we just kept chipping away, and the closer we got, the more realistic it looked. I was ranked top 2 in the country for the last 6 years now. So I haven't been able to take that top spot for 10-meter platform yet, but we're going to keep working towards it. And I remember on the Olympic trial, it was you guys would know, it's such a stressful week, because it all comes down to that day. Once you've qualified the positions for the country, we then have, in diving, we have 1 day, and you have to perform on that day consistently over 3 rounds to try and get that spot for yourself. So you've just got to maintain, not burn out, and just try to stay as cool, calm, collected throughout the process as possible. And a huge part of that comes down to the support network, probably a lot more than I realize as well. Just having someone to talk to and someone that can listen, and your coach is there on pool deck, plays such a huge role. And before you know it, you're just in the process and you're just doing it. And it's not like this massive thing. It's just one foot in front of the other with your team right behind you. Then I remember my last dive, I was just stick to the process, just look at the platform. I got these keywords to try and keep things really simple, because there's a million ways to do it wrong and one way to get it right, and just think about those. And it went down. And I remember when I looked at the scoreboard, I ran over, gave my coach a big hug, and we were standing in the exact same position as when I'd told him when I was very young that I really wanted to go to the Olympics, and I think I just cried. That was, very, very big moment.
It's really special. Sal, surfing is such a community sport, and it impacts so many people across the world. How have you harnessed that to create positive change in your community?
I think it was about, like I said, that seed was planted by watching all our amazing like Olympic feats and Olympians and world champions and Aussie athletes. And I think that just becomes ingrained in you, like, well, they're kind of leaving these clues along the way, or as I call them, seeds. And I guess as I've gone along, I thought, well, I'm not sure at the time when you're so deep in your own train of thought and your own dream and your own track, you're not too sure about like this whole, am I creating an impact, or am I, creating change in any way? You're just leading through your actions. And so sometimes it doesn't feel like it at the time, but planting a seed may have been for me through publishing 2 books, or some of the apps created, and someone may pick this up, they may not, but these are my thoughts. And it's sort of like time stamped of like not waiting all the way to the end of my athletic career and going like, oh, here's a brain dump, because things change then and you evolve as a person, as Bronze was saying through all her Olympic campaigns. Like you're going for different reasons, and and I think it's important to leave those seeds along the way. And it's, I guess now after all these years on the Surfing World Tour, it's moments that really kind of catch me by surprise, and there's a few rising stars coming through, and they'll for sure take the reins and be all these world champions and Olympic medalists and stuff. And I'm coming up against them now and competing against them, and they're almost half my age. And it's like you hop into these heats, and when there's a moment where the guards are down, they'll let a few of these little stories out, and they're so meaningful to me because I would have never imagined it. And it might have been like one of the girls grew up in Texas and way away from the beach, and then she happened to move to an island in Hawaii, and she knew nothing about surfing but was really interested and went to the bookstore, and then the only surfing book that was there by a female was my book. And she said, yeah, so I learned how to surf by just reading along the book and following the exercises or cooking the recipes and all these things. And then all these years later, like, you're running out into the surf or going to the Olympic Games with them and you think, so that's what it means. Like, and I'm so happy at the time, like, you just don't know, as I said, where things lead. And an important part in the world of surfing is that it's a very male-dominated sport, and creating that change and equality and accessibility is really important to me. And so, yeah, along the way, having chances to celebrate our women, and we have such a long legacy of Australian female surfers, whether it's your Lane Beachleys, Stephanie Gilmore's, like, holding the crown for so many years and perpetuating onto our generation. And to set up the Sydney Surf Festival and include all the sports, whether it's surf life saving, running, swimming, I just love it all. And we're so fortunate, we're so blessed being Aussie kids, like, where we begin, and everyone around us giving us so many opportunities and outlets, and just try them all. Like, there's so much out there, and just find your own recipe, because I could sit here and tell you what my recipe is, but that might not make you tick. But as I said, similar to the Kathy thing, like, you take that energy and just let that guide you. And there's nothing better than being something like a sport, or for me in the ocean, and being so immersed and so just in my own world and feeling so happy and connected to something. And that's what we're trying to pass on to you guys. And you take that now and show us what you're made of. And you're already, for me, what's inspiring, you're already planting those seeds by being here. And I just can't wait to see where you'll take it.
And Sam, as Sal's touched on about planting those seeds, the journey for you with your passion for sustainability started when you were in high school, if I have that correct. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was 16, so I was in high school, I believe, year 10, and I've always lived around the water. I actually grew up in Newey. I live around in Cronulla at the moment, and the ocean's been somewhere kind of sacred for me, somewhere I always go to swim, relax, rock jump, and just kick back. And I saw the video of the plastic straw stuck in the turtle's nose. Who in this room seen that video? Put your hand up. Has anyone seen that? Like, it's really painful to watch, and they pull this whole straw out, and I just thought to myself, that's one example that we have on camera that went around the internet. And I thought I wanted to have an impact, but I wanted to have an actionable impact. I wanted to create a product that would solve the problem. So I looked at all different ideas, from bamboo, which was too expensive for single use, and then the pasta ones were a bit slippery, and paper doesn't work at all, so it wasn't an option. And we came on to wheat, which was like an old idea I thought we could bring back, and we started Sam Straws, and the wheat stem is actually grown. It's not even manufactured, so they grow the wheat, they cut the stem, we clean it with purified water, and then they like dry them out, and then it's the literal stem of the plant that we use. So when you're done with it, you can just throw it away. It's biodegradable. I think it biodegrades into micronutrients instead of microplastics, so a much better impact. And I thought then by amplifying this on my social media, I can have a further impact by not just having a product, but then sharing it and then inspiring everyone else. That anyone can start, whether it's a company or just a group. I feel like it's the small things, literally a straw, like such a small impact, but that can have a trickle effect down the line.
I feel like I'm back in high school feeling inspired by you two. It's really, really cool. But I think what's so important to highlight is the fact that these are Olympians up on the stage who you guys are inspired by, but as they've said, they're actually really inspired by the work that you are doing, and you're all so young, already creating such positive change, so congratulations. If you guys want to stay involved with each other, there's a Facebook group. It's the Changemaker Alumni group on Facebook. Don't forget to use the hashtag #PowerTheChange2023 and tag @OzOlympicTeam. So can we all give our 2023 Changemakers a round of applause? And of course, our amazing Olympians, can we give them a round of applause? Thank you all so much for joining us at the National Forum. We're going to give you a bit of a taste of Tokyo, a bit of a throwback to Tokyo to finish off with.
You gotta hug it out. You can sing along. Traveling in a fried out combi, hippie trail head full of zombie. Met a strange lady
She made me nervous. She took me in and gave me breakfast. She said, you come from a land down under. Women glow and men plunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover. Buying bread from a man in Brussels. He was 6'4" and full of muscle. I said, do you speak my language, brother? He just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich, and he said, I come from a land down under. The rivers flow, man they chunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover. Lying in a den in Bombay with a slack jaw and not a lot to say. I said to the man, are you trying to tempt me? Because I come from the land of plenty. He said, oh, do you come from a land down under? Oh yeah, yeah, where women glow and men plunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover. We are living in a land down under. Oh yeah, where women glow, men they plunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover.
Once an Olympian, always an Olympian.
Once an Olympian, always an Olympian.